It is my pleasure to be here with you. I'll try to have my voice carried, if I can. I work at a Joint Bangladesh Cancer Research Centre in Nottingham Trent University, and we are working on a cancer vaccine, prostate cancer vaccine, but I'm not here today in that capacity. I am more going to talk about health and well-being overall. We heard this morning a very, very nice talk, and what the professor talked about was mainly about food and exercise, but I want to enlarge this and make you all understand that we are all extremely complex beings, and cancer is a very complex disease, and it's also a personal disease, and therefore the cure will be extremely personal, individual. As much as the NHS cannot prescribe an individual, not yet, solution, we as individuals can do something about it. And I would like to emphasize what everyone can do to help the drug that may be given by the medical profession. First of all, I just thought, I just put a few quotes, and as you can see is, being healthy and fit isn't a fad or trend, instead it's a lifestyle, emphasizing on the complexity of actions here again. Health is like money, we never have a true idea of its value until we lost it. And this is for those of us who do not have cancer. So what can we do to prevent, if you want, or ensure that we don't get it, knowing that 1 in 2 people in the future will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime. The third point is never too early or too late. And that, I think, is an important quote, is never too early or too late to do something about it. Next, I want to emphasize that we are unique. We are born with a certain set of genes, as was mentioned earlier today, and that we cannot change, okay? Our genetic makeup is what it is. We all have predisposition to some kind of disease. Some, some will be predisposed, like myself, to have an autoimmune disease. Some will have others. But even in twin situation, you put these two people apart and you give them a completely different lifestyle, and they do not get the same disease. So what I'm saying is, no matter what your genetic makeup is, there are still things you can do in your lifestyle that will influence whether a gene is switched on or off, and even the volume, meaning how much of that gene is it going to be expressed. And not surprising or surprisingly, lifestyle like food, sleep, I will go through them, will actually influence the switch on and off and the volume. And that's an amazing thing, that you can actually do something that will influence the expression of those same genes. You cannot create one, either you have or you haven't. Or you may have a predisposition because you've got a BRCA1 genes. That I cannot change. But there are things that we can do, and this is what I will emphasize, what one can do. But the solution will be unique. So, for example, our genetic makeup will influence our immune system. As I've just said, we have people have got some predisposition to autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease is a person who develops antibodies against their own cells. So it's a bit on the self-destruction path, right? It doesn't mean it will come up, but the predisposition is there. If I was to sequence my DNA, I'm sure I will find, and I know actually, there is a certain type of what is called HLA, human leukocyte antigen, on the surface of every single cell of my body, which will tell me that I'm predisposed to certain autoimmune disease. It doesn't mean I will get it, but nonetheless, our genetic makeup influences our immune system. Our genetic makeup, to some extent, might also influence sleep, stress, diet. What I mean by that is, not everyone is alike when it comes to stress, not everyone is the same when it comes to sleep. Some people require more sleep than others. It could well be that it is inside the DNA that is written. And what you've heard, what I've been talking about, the idea that what you do to yourself in your lifestyle will influence whether a gene is switched on or off, and the volume, that's called epigenetic. You've heard that term this morning. And that will affect, again, your lifestyle will also affect exercise, and it's a vicious cycle actually. Now, your environment as well. Your genetic makeup will be influenced by, the arrow goes both ways, right? It's not just one way, it's both ways. Whether how you've been brought up, you know, whether you had a lot of siblings, whether you had a certain type of diet will come from maybe how your family used to prepare certain meals. You have a certain taste for food because it goes back to your childhood. It will be pets. It's very well known that stroking a cat, stroking a pet is actually quite relaxing. So maybe, you know, in your environment, if you have animals, you might be more relaxed. Again, if you have pets, it's also said that people who have access to or in contact with a lot of animals, you'll be more tolerant and you'll be less likely to have autoimmune disease because your immune system will be calmed down. It will have been educated not to respond. So your environment really influences which genes might be switched on and off, right? Like I said, if you're exposed to a lot of allergen, you know the theory of a too clean environment nowadays. And in the past, if it was a bit of dirt, it was actually potentially quite beneficial because people who live in rural area, you know, in contact with a lot of animals, they may not suffer from asthma. They may not suffer from a lot of these skin rash, yes? And this is because the immune system, we're told, because what goes in the mouth usually tend to tolerize you. Means it tells your immune system there's no need to react here. And again, that's epigenetic. And of course, our environment will directly affect our lifestyle and vice versa. In addition to that, the lifestyle will also, and your environment, as I've just said, will directly affect your immune system. And that, in terms, will affect your gut flora. And you've heard about it. And actually, I like to emphasize that you can eat kefir if you're lactose intolerant, by the way. And that all these fermented food are actually very good for your gut flora. What I would like to emphasize here as well is what works for me may not work for you, right? Here, the emphasis is on the complexity and the uniqueness of every one of us. So, you want to know, what should I do? I can tell you rough guidelines, but at the end of the day, it's going to have to be down to you to explore what does work or does not work for you, right? If I eat certain food, I've learned over time, I can't digest fat, right? So I've learned that over time, nobody told me. But I have learned to listen to my body, and this is something that I think we've lost. When we get older as well, our lifestyle should change. So to give these guidelines more generic, it can be a little bit misconceived because what works for a 20-year-old or a 40-year-old will not work for 60, 70, 80, right? So we say meat is not necessarily very good for you. That's, I think, is in general true. You need some because protein comes from it, but protein also comes from all other sources. And actually, when we get older, we need more protein. So see, if you say meat is not good, and people will stop eating meat, and then maybe they don't know about where else to find the protein, and they might have less protein, and that's not good for them. Do you see? You have to sort of understand what it is that is good for you at the time you're in, at the stage of your disease you're in, and so on and so forth. And you can do some exercise, and Nordic walking, for example, that's extremely good for you, and you can do that. And by walking, you can talk. That's also something that's not maybe mentioned here, or indirectly, which is extremely, extremely important. So we're talking about food, everybody agrees. We're talking about exercise, everybody agrees. Genetic makeup, agree. What about here, as Roger mentioned? What about what's happened here? And now they found a link between your gut and here. And we all know that if you don't eat or digest very well, you're not going to feel well. But vice versa, if you don't feel well here, you're not going to feel like eating, or the other way around. You see, that's where your genetic makeup comes into play. Some people under stress, like for myself, I can't eat, I've got a knot here. Other people will be the other way around. When they are under stress, they eat because, comfort food, I don't know. So we are unique, we have to learn who we are, and then we can act on it. Something else, when I say here, I'm not just talking about stress. I'm talking about past emotions. I'm talking about the fact that we do not realize how much emotion we suppress, whether good or bad. As we go in society, we've learned to suppress our emotion. We don't talk about things. So much true that the support group precisely do that function, or at least some of it. You heard this morning about the gentleman who said, gosh, you feel the same as me. Shouldn't be that way, right? Women tend to talk a bit more. You need to exercise, literally, the word is exercise, all these inside demon. Because if you don't, it will eat you from the inside, literally. We don't always know what these demons are, though, do we? But it's nice to talk, and majority of time we don't feel like free to talk. Maybe you don't want to talk to people you know. I don't have the answer. It will have to be your own path, your own journey here into healing, into preventing, into curing. And that's my message here. Your journey. You have to go back to learning yourself. Emotion, suppressed emotion are extremely strong. The power of the mind. Actually, I said there is never placebo. For me, placebo don't exist. Only the power of the mind. Either you're open or you're not to changes. You need to see and I would like that in the future, the diagnosis of cancer is only an alarm bell to tell you, do you know what? I'm sorry to say, but over these years, because it doesn't happen overnight, the last 20, 30 years, your lifestyle has not agreed with your genetic makeup. It's no right, no wrong, no fault, no guilt. What you've just done did not agree with your genetic makeup. Full stop. Now you know, because you've got a kind of disease, cancer being one, but it could be other things. Now is the time to do something about it. Never too late, right? To do something about it. Of course, you follow what the medical paths tell you to take, because these are the doctors who have been trained for the best chemical or agent to take. But it doesn't mean you're powerless. By no means, you're not powerless. Now is the time to revise. In fact, because I cannot tell you which point in your lifestyle was wrong, because the likelihood is many, there are many, not just one parameter that you need to change. Just remove everything and think carefully, and you reintroduce one at a time, revisit your diet. But your diet as now, here now, you as a person now, not when you were 20 years or, now. With your lifestyle, if I don't move too much, maybe I need to reduce what I eat, right? If I do a lot of exercise, then maybe I do need to eat a lot more. Stress, am I stressed? I don't know actually. Well, meditation will not hurt, but meditation may not work for you. Maybe a walk in the forest will work for you. You have to find what works for you. Yoga, fantastic, but maybe you don't like it. fine, find something that works. But you have to, the pillars are correct. To say that you have to look at your diet is correct, exercise correct, sleep, emotion, and I will mention later on, your mouth hygiene is extremely important. You know, it will directly affect, for example, people who have, you may have a virus once, flu virus. It will damage your, initially your lung or your immune system is there. But more often it's not the virus the problem. And we don't have anything against virus, actually, do we? We have antibiotics against bacteria. But the bacteria don't come until you've had a virus to weaken your immune system. And usually, the secondary infection following a lung infection, the virus, come from here. All here, the bacteria that are here, you'll find them here. So make sure you deal with the mouth hygiene as well as everything else. So, and of course, the gut flora will also affect, you know, the little bugs in there might tell you, well, you know what, I feel bad to eat this or this, and so on. So here are the lifestyle, I've talked about all of them. Gratitude is the one that's an interesting one. When we say positive attitude, it's like, yeah, well, how can you be positive? It's not in that sense that I mean gratitude. But gratitude is, again, you have the glasses half full or half empty, but the content of the water is the same. You know, it might be worse, instead of saying, I wish. No, don't say that. Say, I have this, and I'm actually quite grateful for it. Yes? I have a spouse, a partner, even if they have passed away, you were lucky to have them in your life, right? So you have to reiterate the positive things. Just name them, just take a list and start naming everything you have. You will not realize what you have until it's gone, of course, but until you've actually written it in a piece of paper. You know, I used to, and I was surprised when I just came across a book and it told me to do that, and I started to do it, and I didn't realize how much I was in a negative side until I realized, oh yes, I have this, I have, you know, like, and you start to be a bit more content with what you have as well. And again, go back to the power of the mind, you know, the positive attitude. I mentioned here also laugh, and I have one or two quotes after to emphasize, you know, create opportunity to laugh, go and watch a funny movie. Create these opportunities, because laugh is a very, very powerful emotion as well. Calm your mind, but again, calm your mind will be depending on each and every one of you, what works for you. Optimize your sleep, and I do fully appreciate that you will have disturbed sleep. See how you can maximize what you have, accommodate. We all have to adapt according to the difficulty in life. It is what it is. To dwell on what you have is no good. You're not doing any good, right? On the other hand, try to see what you can do, because that's the only solution. You know, to spend hours saying, oh, you know, I've got this, why me, or these sort of things will not help you. On the opposite, just, okay, here is what I have, what can I do? So now some interesting question for which I do not have any answer, but it might be worth you asking yourself this question once in a while. How do I feel? You know, physically, emotionally. This is your own MOT. Okay, how do I feel? And by asking the question and taking a bit of time to to understand that question and answer it, you'll be able to start having half of the solution. Am I valued? Do you know, that's another very, very important. When during working life, we are valued because we are paid. Yes? When we stop working, we feel like, what do I do now? Am I still valued because I'm not paid anymore? Do people still need me? It may well be, I'm sure you will be, but change your goals. Your goals change. So it's not just your lifestyle. You've got to change. You've got those who have given their time to help others. I found extremely rewarding. because they felt valued again. And there is no price for it, no price. So if it is community, it is to, if you have of course family who are in need of you, so be it, but if they are a bit of living away, then you have to think, how can I do, or what can I do, because that is extremely important. Unless you feel very content with what you achieve, and that's fine. How you value at home. Put in words emotion. And never take for granted anything, and do not presume anything. You know, I should have put the four totem of the talk people, but never mind. One is never assume anything. So if you hear something and you assume you've understood, gosh, in couples, how many arguments you find there because one assumes something, and I see that all the time in my own family. It's very difficult to apply, I admit that, but it's worth, understanding this. Am I valued at home, at work? And as I said, do I have a goal, a purpose in life? What gets you up in the morning? If you said nothing, you'd have I don't know why you get up then, Am I under pressure? And it could be not just because of work, it could be because you've given too much of your time to too many charities, and you need to learn to say no. You need to take some time for you. How often do I laugh? Again, going back to the power of laughing. And if I have any other problem, do I have the support I need? Support group extremely useful. Via friend or family. Do I have the support? Can I talk to someone? I need to get it out of my system. We have this saying that, and I find them that they always have an element of truth when you say, I couldn't get it, I didn't get it, or I was gutted, sorry, that's it. I was gutted. Surely you're going to be affected here straight away. In fact, you can't eat or you don't digest well. And you think, hang on a minute, that's an emotion that's got a physical, yes it has. Or I couldn't swallow it, guess what, you might have a sore throat. Nothing to do with what you're talking, it's that link. And do I give my brain / body enough rest? Again, you might be busy doing 100 activities, you need to give your brain some time to heal. And that time could well be doing either meditation, but it could be just doing some craft or walking. Again, find what works for you. Right? All these points I'm making, I don't have solution for you. I've only got questions. The answer you all have. And body enough rest you might need if children, when they are young, they know how to learn to listen to their body. If they're tired, they just sleep. Full stop. Why can't we not do that? We impose our body 3 meals a day. Well, it doesn't work for me. I need to nibble in between. Is that unhealthy? No, I don't think so. But I eat less during the meal as well. You've got to do what is good for you. Children eat all the time. And they say, he's got a high metabolism. Yes, it's obviously true, they're growing. But it doesn't mean it's wrong for an adult. All of a sudden, because society said, we'll have a breakfast, lunch, dinner, full stop. In between, it's very unhealthy. Says who? Where's the evidence here, right? And doing a craft. So people need to find their own craft. Painting, listening to something, music, reading. If your mind is busy doing something, it can rest the rest of your body, right? Knitting, whatever. Yes, I say only you can answer these questions, and the solution will be very different and unique to everyone. So here are some quotes from somebody who suffered a lot and had a lot of wise sentences which I pick up from his books. Each patient carries his own doctor inside him or herself. I think that's quite powerful. If something comes to life in others because of you, then you have made an approach to immortality. There's nothing better than helping somebody and see the smile on their face nothing more rewarding, and there's no price to it. You know, when we depart this life, we don't take our money with us, do we? But we might take something much valuable with our soul. The control center of our life is your attitude. Attitude matters, right? Try to see the other side. You know, why am I angry? We all are. We have different control centers in our brain. You know, we have the computer, and we have the emotion center, and there's this you, and a mix of that makes you unique. But am I overwhelmed by the emotion? You know, sometimes you need to pinpoint where does that emotion come from. And an example for that is I was angry or annoyed at work, drove home, I thought he was gone, and then my child did something, and again, it was a bit irritating, nowhere near what came out of my mouth. And that was because suddenly I said, wow, where does that come from? Because I carried with me all that anger, and I didn't realize. It's only when I responded to a flick that it came out. So everything has to be proportionate. So it's good to analyze one's emotion. Laughter is a powerful way to tap positive emotions. Death is not the greatest loss in life. That's a powerful one. The greatest loss is what dies inside of us while we live. That's, I think, a very important one. And one more, health is not simply the absence of illness. Real health is the will to overcome every form of adversity and use even the worst of circumstances as springboard for new growth and development. We always say there's never, mistake doesn't exist. It's only experience, isn't it? Every mistake is an experience. If you didn't have a mistake, you wouldn't grow. If you didn't struggle with your muscle, they wouldn't grow new muscle. Simply put, the essence of health is a constant renewal of and rejuvenation of life. And sorry, that is it. Thank you very much.
We have a few minutes for questions for Stephanie. Any questions?
Can't ask questions because we already have the answers.
Exactly. That's how you listen well.